Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Got the latest on the investigation into the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. We got the latest on Democrats accusing Donald Trump of being a meanie-face, so he deserved to get shot. We've got Hillary Clinton emerging from her coven to increase the heat on Donald Trump. We got a lot. Plus at 6:05, Sully Sullivan, Montgomery County Republican chairman. 6:35, Mike Clancy running for Congress in Virginia 10. 7:05, Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. 8:05, our buddy Marty McCary, Dr. Marty McCary. And then at 8:35, Tony Sabio, he's a former Secret Service agent. We're going to get into all of that. It's all coming up right now. Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Julie, you've worked in government. You've worked in the private sector. You've worked for nonprofits, NGOs. Sure. Now you're working in the media. It's pretty standard fare for companies to have to, go through certain facility checks now and then, and you have to make sure that your buildings are up to code and everything, fire and safety and stuff like that. So you have a fire alarm test now and again, right?
Yeah.
Very challenging thing to do, though, in the radio business.
Yes, indeed.
Because, imagine if we were to have a fire alarm test right now while we're on the air.
It's not hard to imagine.
That would be really, really tough for all of our listeners to hear that. So they were kind enough here at the building, as you know, Julie, to do that fire alarm test before we went on the air.
Now I have a headache.
Like literally for 15 minutes.
It was awful.
Nonstop minutes, right up until about 45 seconds ago.
I almost went to the garage.
So our show prep for today's program consists of...
Yeah, and that's nice. I mean, that if it had sounded like that, I wouldn't be in a bad mood. Now I'm in a very bad mood.
No, you're in the bubbly, effervescent mood that we've all come to expect from you.
Eeyore for about 10 minutes.
You are a very energetic and upbeat blondie. That's your.
That was awful.
It was great.
It was awful.
And I just want you to know that should there be a fire in this building, we are all now fully prepared to get out as soon as possible.
Yes.
So
I am aware of what it sounds like.
Rest assured, we're good.
And honestly, why would you not want to flee? It is so awful.
I
wanted to go stand outside.
Do you think that's the reason of the fire alarm, is to just annoy you so much that you get out of the building?
Yes.
That's it now. I'm going to stay right here on the microphone. The captain goes down with the ship.
You are so
You
dedicated.
go ahead and do. I'm not going to be like the Titanic. Latest on the Secret Service. It looks as though there are elements within the Secret Service who are trying to cover their butts, as is typical in Washington, D.C. bureaucracies. And sadly, by many outward appearances, that's exactly what the Secret Service has now turned into, a Washington, D.C. CYA bureaucracy. The Secret Service seems to be operating no different than the Department of Agriculture or the EPA, and that is a sad thing to say, considering how much reverence we have had for this august organization for these many decades. There is now an anonymous leak to the Washington Post that claims the Secret Service showed new President Donald Trump how photographers could shoot long-range pictures of him while he golfed at his club in Virginia, right here in Loudoun County, and then warned that if a photographer can do that, an assassin can do that too. And here's where the Washington Post takes the Secret Service's narrative and blames the victim. But Trump insisted that his clubs were safe and kept playing. How Trump's golf habit at his semi-public courses has put his life at risk for many years is how Carol Leonnig, the propagandist at the Post, sums up her exclusive summary for that fine newspaper. Now, a couple of questions here. First of all, does anyone on the planet believe that the Secret Service would warn Donald Trump about a potential assassination threat at his golf course? And Donald Trump said, go pound sand. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm Donald Trump, damn it. And furthermore, even if you believe that much of it, does anyone believe the Secret Service would say, well, we warned him. Yeah. Okay, come on, guys. Nothing more we can do here. Is that really what we're supposed to buy? Also, sorry for, actually trying to poke holes in this fine future Pulitzer Prize winning performance from the Washington Post. But have we not seen pictures of Barack Obama and Joe Biden and George W. Bush and Bill Clinton and George Herbert Walker, and every president we've ever seen in our lives since Eisenhower. Haven't we seen pictures consistently of them at golf clubs playing golf their entire presidencies? Are we supposed to believe that because photographers could get pictures of Trump, that was a threat? Because they've been getting pictures of all the presidents playing golf. For God's sake, we just saw picture after picture of Joe Biden's lily white, fat, desiccated corpse lying on the beach in Delaware for the last 3 months of our lives instead of actually attending to the responsibilities of commander-in-chief. And somehow those photographers were able to get a picture of Joe Biden. Was he a threat of assassination attempts as well?
Well, it's interesting. You know, the Washington Post reports, you know, if a lens can see you, then they can take a shot at you. Usually the response then is to give him more secure perimeter.
We better protect you better.
Yes, yeah. Maybe we should actually expand out the security perimeter so that it does not, so that people that are laying in bushes and laying outside of fences are caught. Plainclothes, Secret Service agents walking around the perimeter. Maybe that's the solution. But he wasn't given that.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting that the Washington Post published this. It's disgusting that Carol Leonnig and her counterpart, or her colleagues, are celebrating their exclusive.
Yes.
And it's disgusting that elements within the Secret Service have leaked this story in an attempt to cover up their own incompetence or worse.
Well, it goes with the narrative that we see a lot of people spreading yesterday, which is he deserved it. Yeah. And this is a setup of, well, you know, he's not to be controlled and he's difficult for the Secret Service.
He insisted on golfing.
It's raising sympathy for the Secret Service. At the same time, that other parts of the media suggest he deserved it because he's ramped up the rhetoric. I mean, the absolute nerve of these leftists saying that. But again, they sort of dovetail. They go well together.
Oh, actually, to that end, I want to show you the opening statement, the opening segment on CBS Evening News. Apparently, CBS still does an evening news program. Oh, hello. There she is. Nora O'Donnell's the anchor over there. And some people still get their news from such broadcasts. It's shocking to me.
It is.
I want you to listen to I'm not sure what you're about to hear. I'm not sure what it is. I know it's not news. I'm well-versed enough now in the world of journalism and news reporting to tell you that what you're about to hear from Nora O'Donnell, God bless her heart, on CBS News, it's not actually news. Listen to this.
Donald Trump is blaming Democrats for inflaming political rhetoric, but the former president's own words seem to be increasing the threat of political violence in Springfield, Ohio.
All right. Now, that was one sentence, by the way, and I want to break it down for you because that last part, I think you all kind of heard it yourself, right? When I said this isn't news, it immediately stuck out to you. The former president's own words seem to be increasing the threat of political. Seem to be. It seems to be. So I'm about to deliver a bit of information that seems to be true. It seems to be accurate. It seems to be what we, the writers, producers, and hosts of this program, have concluded it to be. But that certainly isn't an objective fact, is it? We're going to break that down a little bit because that, in a nutshell, is exactly how you said the left wing and the liberals. No. I mean, they are left wing and liberals, but they pretend to be mainstream. Right. They pretend to be the real journalists. Right. They pretend to be the grown-ups in the room. That's Nora O'Donnell, well-respected anchor at CBS News, pivoting immediately on Trump blaming Democrats, obviously, for inflaming political rhetoric that just led to a second attempted assassination on his life. But really the story is what we believe his words seem to be doing to Springfield, Ohio, which, by the way, this is just a half an hour after Governor DeWine of that state blew apart that myth that their rhetoric had anything to do with any risk in Springfield, Ohio. We're going to break it all down for you in a moment because that's what you expect from us. We make sense of the news, even when these newsmakers make no sense. But first, it's 5.
Donald Trump is blaming Democrats for inflaming political rhetoric.
Pause. Stop right there. That can be the end of the first sentence of your lead story tonight, Nora O'Donnell. Donald Trump is blaming Democrats for inflaming political rhetoric. You can add on to that led to the second attempt on the former president's life in as many months. And then you can show us examples of what Donald Trump is talking about. Lord knows there are tons of them, probably from your own primetime evening news program or from maybe Face the Nation, your Sunday show. Just play the litany of Democrats who have been calling him Hitler or Mussolini or a fascist or the greatest threat to national security or our democracy that we have ever seen. He must be stopped. He must be eliminated. We play them all the time here. I know you've got access to it too, CBS News. That could be your lead segment. But instead of actually closing that loop and fleshing out what Donald Trump is saying about Democrats and their inflamed political rhetoric, she pivoted mid-sentence and then made this point.
But the former president's own words seem to be increasing the threat of political violence in Springfield, Ohio.
Seem to be. I still love the seem to be part. His own words seem to be increasing the threat of political violence in Springfield, Ohio. First of all, I just want to go on the record here. There has been no political violence in Springfield, Ohio.
That's right.
We keep hearing about this, and I do love that the media is now very concerned about the threat against people in Springfield, Ohio, but only one subgroup of people.
Right.
That would be the 20,000 Haitian immigrants who have been airlifted here and placed there and given temporary legal status to disrupt the lives of all of the citizens who already had a pretty bleak existence in Springfield.
And also, the media also only is focusing on the Haitians who, have jobs in these factories surrounding Springfield. Like, they do not focus on the Haitians who are crashing into other cars because they don't have proper driving training and licenses, or the Haitians that are killing the ducks down at the reservoir, which there is multiple witness testimonies about, which they ignore. They don't want to interview those people. This is so typical of this media. And of course, I know you brought it up earlier, Mike DeWine debunking all of these bomb threats that they blamed on J.D. Vance over the weekend.
Yeah, so that's the other big narrative. This is the funniest thing to me, that they actually immediately pivot from the assassination attempt. But Springfield.
Right.
But the bomb threats in Springfield. I'm sorry. Unlike the first assassin, we actually have quite a bit of knowledge now and a track record on this guy. And I assure you, he was not down there with an AK-47 looking to put a bullet in Donald Trump's head because of anything that had to do with Haitians or Springfield, Ohio.
Well, and the connections to the Democrat Party here and
the media.
And the media. He was a darling of the media. All these reporters coming forward saying, I interviewed. I know that guy.
I know that guy. Hey, geez.
If this were a guy associated with MAGA or the right-wing media, my God, it would be nonstop coverage, but they're just memory holing.
It's almost like the media and the Democrats are trying to look at something else and show you an alternative alibi for the assassination.
It's almost like that, Larry.
It's clear what happened in West Palm Beach on the Trump International Golf Course had a direct connection to Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. Obviously. I mean, can't you see it? It's as plain as the nose on your face. And yes, coming up in a minute, that hoax that they're throwing at you, of course, is a lie. But the entire premise of it, that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance talking about the conditions on the ground and how bleak they are for the people of Springfield, Ohio, has led to bomb threats and security threats in Ohio. That has been completely debunked by the governor of that state, no great pal of Donald Trump's. We'll get to that in just a moment.
So I want to say to the parents in Springfield, these hoaxes, these threats have all been hoaxes. None of them have panned out. We have people, unfortunately, overseas who are taking these actions.
You know that voice. That's your
do.
old boss.
Yes.
When he was senator, now he's Governor Mike DeWine, basically saying every single one of these bomb threats have alleged bomb threats. We should even call them bomb threats because we don't know the origin of them. These could be left-wing operatives who are trying to make J.D. Vance and Donald Trump look bad. We don't know any of this, but Dana Bash grilling J.D. Vance all day Sunday saying, you caused these bomb threats.
And Nora O'Donnell saying, it appears.
Seems to be increasing security threats.
Actually, just a friend of ours, Astra Nomani, is on the ground in Springfield, and she was on Vince's show last night, and I caught a bit of it, and she said things are normal there. Kids are doing homework. They're at soccer practice. They're going about their days. People are going to work. So this idea that Springfield is just, I don't know, like a town in Minneapolis that Governor Walz let burn is not true.
So where's Dana Bash's apology? Where's the retraction at CNN? Where's the retraction? By the way, again, nobody actually in the newsroom there puts the pieces together saying, so hold on, what's the narrative here? that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance talked about these Haitian immigrants committing crimes and creating bleak situations in Springfield, Ohio, and that inspired some MAGA guy out there to call in a bomb threat to a hospital?
Yeah, that's the narrative.
No, honestly, I mean, I know that these people are lunatics, not the people in the newsroom, although they're lunatics too. But, I mean, if, in fact, somebody is compelled to pick up the phone and call in a bomb threat, how exactly does the situation with these migrants, these Haitians in Springfield, suddenly say, oh, you know what, the way I can solve this is to threaten the school or hospital with a bomb threat? That'll help Trump. That'll help the people of Springfield. I mean, nobody. It makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense.
But they ran with it.
No, but
because it was a way to get them.
Well, yes, it was. They are going to turn every situation around as a vehicle to attack Trump, to attack Vance.
Yes.
That is the only thing. These people don't care about the people of Springfield. They don't care about the people of America feeling more and more division and feeling more on edge. They don't care about this.
And none of it was truthful.
It's all to defeat Trump by any means possible.
Yeah, by any means possible. I mean, let's not forget, this is exactly what they've said.
Having Trump not only have had the codes, but now having the classified information for Americans and being able to put that out and share it in his resort with anyone and everyone who comes through should be terrifying to all Americans, and he needs to be stopped.
Wow.
That's a top Kamala Harris surrogate there, talking about how, slip of the tongue. He just needs to be stopped.
Any means possible.
More coming up. It's O'Connor and Company with Larry and Julie.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now. Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
I'm Larry O'Connor. That's Julie Gunlock, and we're waking you up this morning. What are you laughing at?
Hello.
Stop it. I haven't done anything.
Okay.
Just leave me alone.
You are.
Getting back in the swing of things.
So on.
We're America's morning show, and coming up, we're going to keep you informed and entertained and a lot of other things. It's 6:05. Sully Sullivan, Montgomery County Republican chairman, talking about a ballot question that you need to know about. And no, it's not about abortion. It's about your children. Coming up at 6:35, Mike Clancy running for Congress in Virginia 10. 7:05, Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch. 8:05, our buddy Dr. Marty McCary, one of the few people who was right about everything during COVID. And at 8:35, Tony Sabia, former Secret Service agent. Julie Gunlock. What a world we're living in right now.
What a time to be alive.
We've got more information on the Trump assassination attempt, although not much. We really didn't learn much from the press briefing yesterday, but at least we're getting some press briefings. I must say that. Sheriff Rick Bradshaw delivered some new tidbits of information yesterday. Take a listen.
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery. So when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right? And at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around him. Well, because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter. But the Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been, and their agent did a fantastic job.
Okay. Now, that does actually reveal quite a bit in terms of the fact that President Trump is not the sitting president, therefore the security is not at that same level. And you can, I guess, understand that in certain respects he's not in the line of succession or that sort of thing. And however, he's also a former president. He's also under extraordinary risk compared to other former presidents.
One other assassination attempt.
Just 2 months ago. Right. And there's other things that are incredibly disconcerting about all of this, not least of which is that we've learned now that this trip to the golf course was a kind of spontaneous, under-the-radar decision. This is what they've referred to, and I'm not trying to pretend that I'm part of the club or the vernacular, but I'm sure we've all listened to Dan Bongino, who, of course, is a former Secret Service agent, brings a lot of obvious knowledge and expertise to this table. They're calling it an OTR, an off-the-record event. It was not on his public schedule. In fact, we're learning that this trip to the golf course was relatively spontaneous. Now, some will paint that as, see how reckless it was? And I don't see it that way at all. Actually, what I see here I think the most telling thing about it being an off-the-record event that was not publicized and was relatively spontaneous is how in the hell did this guy know? How in the hell did it was just luck? It was just happenstance?
He certainly had some contacts.
He just figured he was going to sit there in the tree line of the golf course all day long just on the pure happen chance that maybe Trump will be going by.
Yeah, scary.
At the very least. And when you think about that and the circumstances surrounding this failed attempt, and then you look at the circumstances that we know about the last failed attempt, I mean, I'm still, we mentioned this yesterday, I'm still freaked out over the last assassination attempt. And I keep thinking the same thing over and over again. Boy, what are the odds that this guy made it to the rooftop of that building, the one building that just happened to be outside the range that day of the Secret Service, and that he got up to the roof line when an officer just happened to not be there, and it was left abandoned so that he could get there? How in the hell did he know when he got up to the roof of that building that there wasn't going to be a cop there? This is all happenstance? This is all luck? It could be. But until we get answers to that, as I continue saying, I don't want to wait 30 years for an Oliver Stone movie to tell me the truth.
Yeah, and again, people are going to, if you are someone who sort of asks these questions, the media is immediately going to call you a conspiracist,
right,
and dismiss you and tell you to put your tinfoil hat on. Well, when we don't have answers, when we're not given the answers, and there also seems to be no curiosity.
Yeah.
Except for, thank God for Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz and a few others. But aside from that, I mean, the Democrats are ready to move on.
The acting director of the Secret Service took to the podium yesterday also and said something that was, a little bit disturbing in terms of looking forward, because there's a lot of focus right now on the taxed resources of the Secret Service. They're trying to float this other narrative, other than Trump deserved it. They're trying to float this narrative as, well, there's just so much we can do. We don't have the money. We don't have the resources. Have you ever heard anybody screaming that the Secret Service is underfunded, that in some way Congress is holding back from allocating funds to the Secret Service? But now suddenly they're underfunded. I mean, maybe they do lack resources, but it has nothing to do with their budget. I think it has everything to do with their own DEI and hiring practices, which have weeded out the best people and moved them to other private sector opportunities and elevated people who don't deserve to be there. And then here's your acting director yesterday firing quite the warning shot.
President Biden made it clear that he wanted the highest levels of protection for former President Trump and for Vice President Harris. The Secret Service moved to sustain increases in assets and the level of protection sought. And those things were in place yesterday. At approximately 1:30 p.m., former President Trump was playing golf during an off-the-record movement to the Trump International Golf Course. A Secret Service advance agent supporting the front edge of the agency's layered approach to protection encountered an individual attempting to secrete himself in the woodline. This happened, the alleged gunman was on the public side of the fence near the 6th green. A layered approach of security is integral to the Secret Service's protective methodologies, and it's also the key to our success. As
I promise you in a moment, the director of the Secret Service, acting director, will actually speak English, and we'll get to that part in just a moment. It's 5:43.
WMAL, making sense of mainstream media, because the double standard is real. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
We were hearing the federal ease talk from our acting director, Secret Service, Mr. Rowe. And as you picked up on some of the words there that are only applicable in a Washington, D.C. federal
Please never
bureaucracy.
say secreting.
Yes,
again.
He was secreting himself in the woods, which last I heard, I mean, even at Boy Scout camp.
I saw that movie. It's gross.
So here's a little bit more here now that we've gotten through the bureaucracy talk and we actually get to the crux.
Side of the fence near the 6th green. A layered approach of security is integral to the Secret Service's protective methodologies.
Not integral.
And it's also the key to our success. As former President Trump was moving through the 5th fairway across the course and out of sight of the 6th green, the agent who was visually sweeping the area of the 6th green saw the subject armed with what he perceived to be a rifle and immediately discharged his firearm. The subject, who did not have line of sight to the former president, fled the scene.
All right. So now that's the breakdown on what happened and all that jazz. And then he said this.
It is this. Coming out of Butler, I have ordered a paradigm shift. The Secret Service's protective methodologies work, and they are sound, and we saw that yesterday. But the way we are positioned right now in this dynamic threat environment, it has given me guidance to say, you know what, we need to look at what our protective methodology is. We need to get out of a reactive model and get to a readiness model. There could be another geopolitical event that could put the United States into a kinetic conflict or some other issue that may result in additional responsibilities and protectees of the United States Secret Service. And so we are working, we are making information available.
You know, as much as I want transparency and openness and a free flow of information from these people, why in the hell is he saying something like that at a press conference? I don't know. I mean, you want to say that in a closed-door session of Congress saying, listen, kinetic situation. In other words, if there's some sort of terrorist attack, if there's some sort of war overseas, if something happens between now and Election Day, especially with the meetings going on at the UN, we are spread thin. We need to reallocate and relook at what we're doing. Say that to the Appropriations Committee. Say that to the Armed Services or whatever committee that you're talking to, Homeland Security. Why is he saying that on an open mic at a press conference, alerting our adversaries that we're weak and vulnerable right now, as if we don't already know that?
And honestly, there have been a number of congressmen and senators that have been on the morning shows, been on news programs who have said, come to us. We will give you the money. Yes. We will allocate more resources. He doesn't need to do this.
Yeah. And Joe Biden, by the way, in his typical fashion that he's done his entire career, decided to make even this a divisive issue. I'm kidding you not. Listen.
Thank God the president's okay. I think we got a full report so far. We're down there tonight. But one thing I want to make clear. The service needs more help, and I think the Congress should respond to their needs.
The service needs more help, and Congress should respond. In other words, Congress has been sitting on their hands. They haven't been doing anything. That's why Trump got shot at. You know, that guy, Joe Biden, he should probably, if that's what he truly believes.
The same guy who refused to give RFK.
RFK any extra service. Right? Yeah, he should really alert the person who's in charge of the executive branch of government and let that guy know that the Secret Service needs more. Oh, wait a minute. He's the guy. He's the one who requests money from Congress.
Yeah,
he's the one who sets the budgets. He's the one who decides who spends money. And it was revealed yesterday that former President Barack Obama has more of a Secret Service detail than Donald Trump does. Jill Biden, the First Lady, has more of a Secret Service detail. I want to know if Hunter Biden probably has more of a Secret Service detail right now allocated by Joe Biden. And then they stand up there and grandstand and pretend like, Congress should really do something about this. Blame Mike Johnson for crying out loud. This is absolutely outrageous. We're going to delve into this even further.
Well, again, let's not forget, by any means possible, Larry.
Coming up at 7:05, Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch, who has been demanding answers from the Secret Service since July 13th. We'll get him to reflect on this. And then at 8:35, make sure you circle back with us if you're not sticking with us all 4 hours. And honestly, at this point, I don't know why you wouldn't. But just in case you want to be back here at 8:35, Tony Sabia, former Secret Service agent, is going to join us as well. Right now, it's 5:53.